In Mesilat yesharim by the Ramchal, chapter 21 and 22, I think we're in the middle of chapter 21. So what helps with piousness? What greatly helps is great observation and much contemplation of our lowliness and the immeasurably great distance between that and Hashem's greatness and exaltedness, and His great love, the closeness of the just to Him, and similar investigations like His great love, the closeness of the just to Him, and like the virtue and the virtue of Torah mitzvos, and the studies. He's merciful like a father to us as His sons, and will awaken within him a desire and longing to reciprocate back to him as a son to a father. For this, a person must seclude in his chambers and focus all his knowledge and thought to the observation, the in-depth study of these true matters. What helps is great diligence in studying in-depth the Psalms, their words and matters, for they're full of love and fear of God and all types of chassidus, inspiring to go in His footsteps and walk in His ways, referring to King David. These things awaken the intellect to take counsel and to do like their noble deeds. Detriments to chassidus is distractions and worries. Distractions disperse the mind's occupation from what it should be contemplating to attain chassidus, and distractions also confound any attainment that he already found, not allowing him to strengthen in fear, love, and other matters. Because the Shekhinah, the divine presence, does not rest through sadness. Shabbat, that's from Shabbat 30b. And also pleasures and indulgences seduce and oppose chassidus, seducing the heart to ever veer away from the true knowledge. And what saves someone is casting his burden on Hashem, or hers, and trusting Hashem and knowing that you can't lack anything that was destined for you, and you cannot get anything that was destined for someone else. So a person could have sat idle, and the decree would have been fulfilled. His designated portion would have come to him, were it not for the fine or the tax that's imposed on humans, from bereishis, Genesis 3:19, by the sweat of your brow shall you eat bread, whereby a person is required to make some effort for obtaining his livelihood. The efforts are required, but once he's put in a little, he's discharged his obligation and does not need to consume his days in exertion and labor. Rather, the true path to make Torah primary is to make Torah primary and work secondary, to do a little work, and from there to trust only in his master and not be distressed by any worldly matters. Then his mind will be free, and his heart ready for true chassidus and perfect divine service. Now, chapter 22. Okay, by inferring from the disgrace of arrogance, we learn the praiseworthiness of humility. The general matter of humility is not to attribute importance to himself for any reason whatsoever. Humility first depends on thought, and afterward it depends on conduct or deed. And if someone's not humble in their thoughts, and they wish to be humble in their deed, they will be deceitful and evil, like what's considered hypocritical, which the Ramchal says is Rabbi Moshe Chaim luzzato, is the worst kind of person. In thought, he has to realize as truth that he is undeserving of praise and honor and unworthy of being elevated over others due to his lacks, deficiencies, and that caused blemishes that allow no room for him to become haughty. And even whatever he attained in virtues, these deficiencies are enough to obscure them, whether it's due to his family or relatives, events that happened to him, his nature, his deeds. Wisdom most brings pride and arrogance. It's a quality in man himself, intellect, because in his intellect, his most noble faculty. But everyone makes mistakes and needs to learn from peers and students, even a sage, and even someone who has a straight intellect, meriting great sagery and true distinguishment, is like an ox that pulls mightily or a bird that flies high. It's just his nature. And it's therefore his duty to teach the wisdom to those less wise. The same way a wealthy person who helps less rich people, or a strong person helps those who are weaker, a free person, or rescues the oppressed. Hashem loves our humility and chooses us for breaking our heart and spirit for Him, not because something is special about us. And a man possessing a just heart doesn't allow himself to become seduced by any virtue which he comes to, because of knowing that the virtue doesn't cause him to emerge out of his lowliness, because of the other defects. And even in his attainments, he hasn't arrived at their ultimate goal. The fact that he's flesh and blood, born of a woman, is more than enough lowliness and inferiority to remind him that any virtue he attains is nothing but Hashem's kindness through a woman, who wants to favor him despite his natural physical, extremely lowly and insignificance. Extreme lowliness and insignificance. And so it should cause him to humble even more. The analogy he gives is like a destitute pauper who's ashamed when he's receiving more and more gifts and kindliness because he knows he could never pay it back. So a few other things I want to share is that on Instagram, there's an account called Carter, CARTERBEAU_, and it's so what high standards actually look like. So this is like, I think, very interesting because we could take it into this topic, which is that like if we don't think so highly of ourselves, these are goals that we could have, like, so consistency, effort, respect and conflict, accountability, security, growth, reciprocity, and emotional availability. It's not that people want it in the relationship, it's that both people in a relationship need to have it. So when somebody is working on all these things that the Ramchal is teaching, then it's like we won't be distracted, we won't be seduced, we won't like think of ourselves so highly, and we'll actually make our effort and then trust the reward, like trust the process. Because when we have a high standard, it's like that's the reward itself, is that the world gives us that high standards. Another thing, I don't know the source, I can't find it, signs of repressed childhood trauma in adults. So I feel like this is also a way of spiritual healing. When we are cleaning out ourselves and we start to realize that we're like very low, we go to the low places. So we'll find it in black and white thinking, mental, physical health disorders, low self-esteem or insecure attachment, trust issues, memory flooding, re-victimization, concentration issues, and false memories. And what's amazing is that what we become through this is a leader. So to get out of this, and so this is, I have a source, which is from, it's called the Princeton Review, and there's 10 types of leadership, which are, first is ethical leadership, which is promoting moral conduct. Then there's servant leadership, which is prioritizing growth and well-being of the followers. Then there's directive leadership, which is clear structure, expectations, and guidance. Then there's adaptive leadership, which is mobilizing people to tackle complex challenges requiring change and learning. Then there's authentic leadership, which is alignment of values and actions, transparency, and self-awareness. Then there's situational leadership, which is adjusting the style based on competence and confidence of followers. Charismatic, number 7, which is influencing through emotional appeal, confidence, persuasive communication. There's participative leadership, which is involving members in decision-making process. Transactional leadership, which is managing through structural rewards and consequences. And finally, transformational leadership, which is inspiring through vision, intellectual stimulation, and individualized consideration. So through having high standards and through transmuting that trauma energy that causes us to get stuck, we become leaders in our lives. And there's a Rabbi Mendy Wolf who says that, I asked a few people, like, because there was a class I missed, there was a few, so this is from people sharing what he taught, that it's so important to be aware of our motivation. So we learned before that Chassidus is about piousness, so we want to just gratify Hashem. So it's our why. Like, why do we do things? What's our choices? And like, when you look at something for your own, like, is it a brand or is it the features when you want to buy something? Is it because you want the features for your own validation, or are you trying to impress others, get their validation because they're features? And it's a mindset of using everything in life for Hashem's purpose. It's not a 1-minute thing. It's a lifestyle that everything you do is different when it's for Hashem. It's not just mitzvahs and Torah, but in all the other things too, because even in the home, you have to know, even when you're home, you have to know what's important and who you are, and with everything else. And you have to respect people and people actually respect people who know who they are and live according to it. And that's all for today. Okay, bye.